Welcome to another episode of Cannabis Legalization News. I'm one of your hosts, Tom. You can find me over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com, or if you want to get our cannabis legalization news emailed to you every week, there is a QR code right there, and that one will take you to where you can put in your name and email. The emails go out right about now, so you'll also get notice of the podcast when we go live. We have a roundup of stories that was cannabis legalization for the week ending in March 23rd of 2025. It's our lead story having to do with what cannabis consumers trust when they buy from a licensed dispensary. We'll get into that, and we'll also talk to Miggy. One more chance, if you want to get our newsletter sent every week, it's a summary of all the stories we cover. There's the QR code. Let's go into it. How's it going, man?
What's up, everybody? Don't smoke mids. And thanks for joining us on a Sunday.
Yeah, it's hard. Some states you have to smoke mids. Some states you have to smoke hemp. Okay, yeah. But speaking of people that don't have to smoke hemp, people that have licensed products. And so that was a study that came out of NUG MD. They revealed that 75% of marijuana consumers trust that cannabis products purchased from licensed retailers are free from contaminants, which isn't necessarily true. One of the other stories that we'll have today will kind of contradict that, but this is what consumers believe, not what consumers actually are factually operating under.
I think people participate in the market that they have to, right? So, like in Washington State, there is no hemp debacle. Right. There is no quandary of like quality. Like I hate to say fire weed, but I do get fire weed that you guys don't get.
Yeah, and then that was something that you shared. The Liquor and Cannabis Board from Washington State and all the other regulators, they maintain recall notices. And so that was a notice of recall that you sent. There was just a recall on March 14th of this year. Northwest Cannabis Solutions, high level of concerns for pesticides or residual solvents. There you go. That's one of the reasons why I think the people trust when they go buy at a licensed dispensary, because that's all that compliance stuff that the person who has the license has to follow, you know?
Well, I think compliance is a scary word for a lot of people who just want to cut corners, right? It's a scary word for people who don't want to do real work. And, what people like in this present chaos administration, remember vitamin E acetate, Vapegate, and
Vapegate.
This was but it was discovered through CDC, through actions of talking to the consumers, finding out where they got their stuff, finding that commonality, and that's kind of like with like real traceability and like in my state market, right? They're gonna someone's finding issues, then before it becomes a bigger issue, you recall it. That's how it works. You don't send stuff out bad intentionally, but when it does happen, you have a means to get it back. This is one of the bigger producers in our state too, so it's kind of a big deal for people who consume.
It's true. That's true. Only 18% said they had a low trust with the quality controls, and 9% said they had no trust at all. So most of the people that go and buy at a dispensary trust the regulators to do their job.
But you got to look at the regulations too. Like here in Washington State, medical and recreational are tested differently. I personally don't like that because I think it's just one plant. It should be the same thing with like the hemp marijuana debate, right? It's like it should all be tested properly for the same.
There should be federal rules. There should be federal rules.
Yeah,
they really should. Like OSHA had standards, NIST has standards. We should have standards for this product. People are using it. The poll also found that 82% of cannabis consumers have low or no trust at all in marijuana purchased on the illicit market, which I'm going to assume includes like gas stations or any of those shops in Texas.
I would definitely all that anything somebody claiming to be Delta 8 THCA compliant. I would bought in a truck stop. I wouldn't trust it. Because there is no regulatory requirement for these people, right? when people say
There's no regulatory requirements for hemp. That's correct. The only
yeah,
regulatory requirement for hemp is testing it a month before you harvest it, only for THC content. That's it.
yeah. Well, it's kind of my beef with just testing overall. When I think everything should be the gamut should be tested, right? Cannabinoids, pesticides, full disclosure. That way, I mean, people smoke cigarettes, so like, if you're going to use shitty pesticides and not, have a good testing product, someone will smoke it. But like, I don't want to. I would like to have that transparency, And I'm still our tests on our things. It's very. They don't have to like list pesticides. They don't have to. They just list cannabinoids. THC is what I see on this one, and CBD percentage and the total. That's all that they're listing. They don't have to do anything like metals, or any of this
Sometimes
stuff.
those are just different regulations in different states, and sometimes they'll even have like QR codes on it. But it has to test compliant. I think in Illinois they just have the same stuff that they have there in the Washington State's cannabis packaging, but it still has to test compliant. We should raise our mold standards in Illinois because like our mold standards are so low that it creates a very dry, crumbled product, which is too bad. And so like our mold standards should be a little bit higher, in my opinion, like closer to what they are in Florida. But that's something like, federal regulation could fix, where they'd say like, hey, here's what a testing panel looks like for cannabis that you want to put in your body. I mean, that wasn't in the Farm Bill. It wasn't. You weren't supposed to be smoking it. Our next story is a good one. It's out of North Carolina, and it's House Rep Jordan Lopez introduced the Marijuana Legalization Reinvestment Act to legalize marijuana for those 21 years and older in North Carolina. But it's only a 19-page bill, so I don't think that this is going anywhere. I think this was a press release proposal that is like introduced. Like there's a bazillion THC bills floating around in Texas right now. And so that's going to be interesting to see if Texas actually bans THC.
That's kind of how it works though, right? They put their feelers out to see what the general public it's just getting tiresome at this point though. Like the general public's cool with it, man. Like just stop with the bullshit, like testing the waters, because there's no need to anymore.
It's very similar to what we got in Illinois, and then also in your state. They actually mention your state. The legalization aims to levy a 30% excise tax on cannabis sales at licensed dispensaries, the second highest in the nation to Washington State's 37%. And so like the price coming down, I mean, that's still the most expensive ingredient in your beer or in your cigarettes is probably taxes. And I'd say it's the exact same thing in Washington State for your cannabis.
Yeah, 100%.
Our taxes aren't that bad, like provided that it's not concentrate. Our concentrate taxes are kind of high, like 35%. But our edible tax, I want to say, is 20%. And I just think like our regular flower tax is like 10% in Illinois.
I'm looking forward to learning more about that. I don't know how much you want to talk about the store now, where we're at, but like.
Oh, we can talk. We'll talk about the store after 420.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm looking forward to just learning more about the behind the wheels, because the consumer doesn't care. The consumer wants to show up with $20 and just get it like a gram or whatever.
We're gonna work on that for them. Like we're gonna try to have out the door pricing. So like put the tax, because they kind of do that, I think, sometimes in Washington State. Like is just the price that they advertise include tax in Washington State. You see, that's kind of how I want ours to be set up, because a lot of dispensaries in Illinois aren't that way, and so it creates sticker shock for customers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you walk in with $20. You don't want like $20, and like people don't want to work in the brain.
And that's it. It's a lot of brain work, because then you have the 3.5% for the municipality. You have the 20. It depends on if you're buying gummies or if you're buying flour or if you're buying concentrate in my state. And so like it's just annoying that you think you have like a $40 eighth, and then after you nickel and dime all of it, it's like $55.
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. Like that's an issue. What do you got for the next story?
Oh, well, good luck in North Carolina. I'm glad that they are trying to legalize it. Let's do a quote from Representative Jordan Lopez. Shout out to him. Legalization is about more than just access to cannabis. It's about repairing the harms that decades of criminalizations have caused. It's what Miggy and I are helping on, because we have the same type of social equity aspects in there, disproportionately impacted areas. that's where we're going. We're moving to a DIA, and we're going to help renovate it.
Yeah.
Our next story, though, this has been going on. This one's out of Reuters, and so like
Oh, I
I've
got it.
noticed this. Have you noticed this in the past? How long has Trump been in office now? 2 months. The past 2 months, there's just been like noticeably more anti-cannabis publications. Like last week, we had one in Newsweek. This one's out of Reuters. I've just noticed more anti-weed press from major news outlets in the past couple of months.
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is why we got this bumper.
What's the bumper?
We're going to be
Now
fighting.
that Reefer Madness news, yeah, Reuters. This is commentary though, and so this cannabis legalization pushback. Anti-legalization groups ramp up efforts to stop the green wave. Despite public support and state-level advances, anti-legalization groups are gaining traction, and they're trying to delay or reverse cannabis legalization. And this is from the analysis that we just cited there on Reuters. Particularly smart approaches to marijuana is right there. That's Sam, and they are shifting tactics from fear-based mongering to targeted corporate influence and regulatory flaws. So they're saying like, yeah, it's just not working out. We should keep arresting people.
Yeah, well, in key quotes, we got the DEA's chief administrative law judge canceled the hearings in response to a request from two pre-scheduling groups alleging improper ex parte coordination between the DEA and Smart Sam.
Yep,
they're not really smart.
Well, that's why they named themselves Sam. Yeah, it's too bad. Sam is also taking credit for pitching the idea of a bill called the No Deductions for Marijuana Business Act. Even if it's rescheduled, IRC 280E will still apply. Now, we're not going to do it. Like, we're going to file form, what is it? There's a form that we file under section 471C of the IRC tax code. My God, we have to file so many effing tax forms. We'll have to file form 5500. We're going to be filing the C corporation taxes. We're going to have like that inventory thing. So like all of our expenses are going to be capitalized into inventory so that we can mostly get around IRC 280E.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a sinking fund. And by sinking fund, I mean, we don't pay the IRC 280E tax on our dispensary. We just have an interest-bearing account, or, E-Trade, Morgan Stanley, something like that.
Okay.
Securities. So like if we owed them $200,000 after that year, we just put the $200,000 into, the QQQs or into stocks and bonds, and see if we get audited.
So, and that will build or whatever, but fuck, dude, this is the non-sexy stuff. So like when you say like we're going to be filing, actually the accounting firm that we contract is going to be doing the filing, right? We provide the paperwork and all the
well, we'll see.
You know what I'm saying?
They're quite expensive. Like $36,000 a year for filing your taxes is a lot. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, especially working with weed. I mean, it's got to be. We're in such a gray area, right? It's such a thin line between prosperous and you're fucked because of this one rule, or the state or city decided like you have to move now because how many people have lost their asses because they've invested in one particular spot, and then, the county has a moratorium or whatever. It's a crazy ride, man.
Well, that's why we took the spot we got. We took the spot we got, and we're like, all right, thank goodness.
Well, the city's working with us, Peckin. Thank you.
Yeah. Pekin.
See, I thought I kept saying Pekin, but then in my head, I'm like, no. Tom keeps correcting me when I say it wants it to be
Capital
Pekin.
of China.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, though. I was like, Peking is not. Right. No.
But they don't pronounce it Peking.
No, I get it. Yeah. It's Pekin. Yeah. Right. My bad, Pekin. I will get it right one day. I promise. Buy my weed.
It may literally be loosely named after that city in China because their high school mascot is the Dragons.
Neat.
A little bit of a checkered past, so does a lot of white America. And so, like, the high school's mascot used to be the Chinks.
Oh, my God. So I guess the railroad system came through there. Jesus Christ.
Sure. Let's go with that.
All right.
Next story. This one's out of Binghamton University, state of New York. Bing U News is reporting that research, young adults in pain start using cannabis earlier and are more likely to mix it with alcohol.
What?
I know, right? 2 journal articles authored by Bingham psychology researchers explore the link between pain and substance use emerging in adults.
I hate stories like studies like that. It's like, so you mean the youth are going to youth?
Yeah, the youths are going to be youths. So the study included almost 46,000 adults and youth in the United States, a sizable research sample between
Oh
2013 and
shit,
2019.
we missed that time, dude.
We have?
Yeah,
Well,
but
you
you
know
know
what?
what?
Let's just you pull off the one thing and you put on the other, and then we just do what we do.
422 is 422.
Hey, it's 20 past the hour if you're rounding up or back down. We'll be right back after a small break from our corporate overlord sponsors.
Hell yeah.
Where's the corporate overlord sponsor button? There it is.
Oh.
I tell you, I'm in this room because it's raining, and now because like the sun, it'll be really backlit in another half hour, and then the sun decided to come out. It was supposed to be raining, but whatever. Yeah,
Well,
Miggy and I got zoned last week, and now we have an offer in that's been accepted on the property, and we'll have it close here after we check the title work.
and then the next step is all the other bullshit that we gotta do. Again, not
Well,
done.
then we have to pay our architect. And so, and after we pay our architect, we have to do some more work on it. But it's got really, really lovely. It's 100 and how many years old? About I think it's 115 ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so it's got extremely high ceilings, maybe like I don't know, 12 to 14 feet high ceilings. And the hardwood floors, we're going to reuse the hardwood floors. And then it's got brass ceilings. And so like stamped brass was kind of popular 115 years ago, I guess. And so we'll be reusing those. That'll help us keep some of the costs low. And then interestingly enough, 3 blocks down the road from it is the security company that's local in Pekin. And so I stopped in there on Friday after I dropped off the earnest money check. And so and I'm going to get a call from them to get a quote for building our vault. And then I want to talk to the HVAC guy because our vault, I want to keep, it's for the good of the customer. But our vault, I want to keep I want it to be like a big humidor. And so like I want it to be the right. And so like it's secure, but then also it needs to be temperature controlled and also humidity controlled. So I'd like it to be about 55% humidity and less than 70 degrees.
I wonder, I never even thought about like creating a safe with air conditioning or some sort of like temperature regulation. Because
I don't want our products to taste bad.
No, but to me, I'm thinking, anytime you induce something into what's supposed to be a big solid box, you create like flaws. Opposed to you guys don't have the same issues that we have here in Washington State, where the kids are stealing cars and running the cars into front doors of dispensaries and.
No, they would not do that to our dispensary. It's literally across the street from the courthouse. Like that's where cops hang out. Like we built it next to the Law and Justice Center for the security of our employees and customers. Nobody's going to be robbing that place.
No, I think it's going to be
only an idiot would try to do that.
And again, though, at that point, if you're stealing a car and running it through the door, you're not making the best life decisions already at that point. But this is exciting. We're getting so closer. But we got Texas news. Oof.
Texas, that was a big story. Now, again, like we did a little bit of clickbait in our headlines for our newsletter that went out. It says Texas bans hemp. Partially true. Texas Senate has banned hemp, and now it's going to go to the House. I don't know how it's going to go in the House. I really don't, because like the House is crazy, and that's where stuff can get derailed, stuff can get changed. It needs to. If they amend it, it needs to go through reconciliation. I think that'll be fine, but something's going to move on hemp in Texas before June. And then if we could also get the Farm Bill out, that'd be great. But
Dan Patrick's on a fucking warpath for anything hemp. I mean, he went through that.
Their teacup program, but like you go talk about it. It's your point.
I was just saying the other day there was a recording of him trying to going into one of these dispensaries, and he actually got carded like on the way in, right? So best practices, right, being done when it comes to like trying to like keep the children out, whatever.
And he was on camera too, and so like the
Yeah,
security cameras were also installed at this location.
yeah. And he pulled that shit of, don't you know who I'm Dan Patrick? Well, you still got to show me your ID.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
but like, and then so Tom and I mean, we saw the he recently gave a press conference, which is insane. But on the same token, what they're aiming at are the synthetic, and I hate the hemp market with the manipulated product from Delta 8 to Delta 9, right? Like
Well, there's inversion, like when those products
Yeah.
fail in a test in California, or like when you just don't report it. And so like there's in states where it's easier to grow cannabis, there's a lot of cannabis that gets, diverted or inversion from the hemp market into the licensed market that got people in trouble in Missouri. And then there's the diversion where the licensed market could just be supplying the THCA flower market.
Well, I don't think so in Texas though. These guys are having storefronts, right? Like they're sourcing their shit from supposed farmers and producers who are the Delta 9 COA holders, right? Saying, these were hemp compliant from Farm Bill. And that's their like little get me out of jail card, right? They all have that little statement. I am 2018 Farm Bill compliant. What the fuck does that mean? It means you're supposed to be a rope. It means you were not grown to the best aspect that you could have been as far as if I want to be a consumable. And that's kind of the point where I made in my little testimony recently with the going on in Illinois right now with the hemp market. It's a ghost market, right? Because you have people going to the store trying to like get their, whether it be medicine or a Good Friday night, a replacement for alcohol with that intention. Why? Because it's lower. And I hate to say, that's just how it is though right now when it comes to a regulated market. We're still structuring, 12 years into it here, 13 years. We're still sorting many things out. And people are still trying to do things like THC caps. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, the THC caps we'll revisit. That is actually in the Teacup program. And so Teacup is the Texas Compassionate Use Program. It is one of the country's worst, most BS medical marijuana programs that exists.
Yeah.
Their application window closed almost 2 years ago. Haven't announced who's won. They said they're going to double it from like 3 to 6 licenses. 6 licenses. That's it. They could have hundreds of licenses in the state of Texas, and they should. But they need to change the definition of what they have for medical cannabis because they've capped its THC at like 1%.
Yeah.
As opposed to, why are you messing with the plant? Just say like, okay, have the plant be the plant. I don't believe any test that says that the actual flower, not like juiced flower, not infused flower, is over 30%.
No.
But it's just so silly that they have problems with this thing. And then, so like, hopefully what'll happen is they're going to shut down the THC products, and then all these consumers and they don't have licenses, and all these business owners will rise up and and put forth a bill that actually makes medical marijuana in Texas.
Yeah.
Where it's a legitimate, like you can look at how Mississippi's doing it. That's a pretty open, legitimate market. I thought Kentucky did a great job with their rollout so far for their medical cannabis market.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so like, why wouldn't, see, like not Tennessee, I keep saying that one. Kentucky is about like 4, I think it's maybe 4.5 million people. And like Texas is like, not 10 times that, but we're like 7 or 8 times that size, like 35 million people. Mm-hmm. So you would have hundreds of dispensaries being licensed.
Oh yeah, easily.
And then like actual product, the stuff that people are buying right now, the THCA, because that's just weed.
Yeah,
that would be great. Hopefully they do it. And then like, remember, Texas is a trigger law state. So once the federal Schedule 3 happens, Texas should get in line with that within approximately a month. And so like, why aren't they putting that together? They're just trying to say, don't shut us down. It's like, well, you knew what you were doing was like completely predicated on a loophole and a really, really bad interpretation of the law.
No, for real. No, that's it right there. You're going to put all this money into a storefront. That's the whole thing though. You want to be legal, right? You want a path of this, and there's none of that right now. There never was, at least, in my time coming up. But, Texas definitely. Their medical. It makes it hard for the farmer to do that 1% bullshit, but also, who's going to take a big swing and big hurt if Texas does get proper reform would be New Mexico. Their market would get all the border.
Yeah, New Mexico's got an extremely open market, and so they would
Yeah,
always have cheaper prices. Because if Texas is so conservative, it's going to be a highly regulated market, similar to like an Illinois style market or an Arkansas style market.
yeah,
And so that Arkansas style market in Texas would, that would be better than what they have currently.
yeah,
But that would still allow for like people go to Michigan to buy weed from Illinois. So
yeah.
people would be going from Texas over to New Mexico to buy weed because you're just going to have better price and better quality and selection.
Hmm. That's a good point. Which is, I mean, again, they need better what they have. But maybe they won't get it if we keep getting fucking stories like this next one.
Yeah, what's up next?
Well, this one's coming from People Magazine, but I saw it like in several things. One of it was highlighted in like the headline read like people under 50 are getting more heart attacks. Marijuana users are 6 times more likely to have a heart attack according to the study. My thoughts on the 50 and under thing though is like, woof, missed it. I'm safe.
Yeah,
50,
yeah,
50.
that one's interesting, but this gets back to like what I was kind of talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Doesn't it just seems like there's like a big publication. It was Reuters, it's People Magazine, it was
Yeah.
Newsweek last week. Like these are big legacy magazines having all this type of marijuana is bad pushback, and
Yep.
so now it's like 6 times more. What was it? Is it heart attack or is it stroke? 6 times more likely to have heart attack.
Yeah. And the
New
50.
study of 4.6 million people, not just like a couple of guys. 4.6 million people.
Was it Canada they studied?
I don't know.
But see, I don't know how they do that cause and effect bullshit though, right? Like, cause I mean, I have high blood pressure and probably a stressed heart at this point, but I don't think it's cannabis. I blame my healthy American diet of not doing shit and
Yeah,
drinking
you're
when I
not
want.
supposed to do that. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
you know,
That's indicated. You should be working out like at least 6, 7 times a week, and then eating vegetables and very little animal protein. But
as I'm saying though,
yeah.
we tend there's you talk to point cause and effect when the supposed 4.6 million people study. Yeah, I thought they're not all living the same kind of life. This
Hey,
is such
we
a
have some quotes though from the lead author, Dr. Ibrahim Kamal,
good.
a clinical instructor at Boston University. And so cannabis use appears to pose a substantial and independent risk for these outcomes, even in a population without traditional cardiovascular risk factors. These findings suggest cannabis is a novel and under-recognized risk factor for cardiovascular disease.
And again, my healthy American diet of just like playing video games and not doing shit all day. Like I worked
Did you have a
hard
cheeseburger this week?
not to do shit though, man. Though literally though, my body has been falling apart lately because just out of shape. I've been back into doing some exercise. I haven't had a drink in a while, but like legit, dude. I for 10 years from 35, had a perfect life. I just come home, play video games, eat healthy, unhealthy shit, and then wake up and rinse and repeat. Like the fact that like the next
Your
step,
decades of neglect are coming home to roost.
yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's like I thought I had figured out the code, but turns out you gotta do shit so you don't fucking wake up and hurt.
Yep. Exactly. Well, if you do too much shit, you'll also hurt, and so
That's
that's the other thing. So if you're too active, like I have to be careful because I'll blow a rotator cuff or something. But I've settled back. I still like to work out though.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
No.
we have some international news. We could
We
use a
do.
bumper on that one. I tell you, the bumpers with the international news sometimes. That's good
I got it.
stuff.
Let's see. I thought I had it. Oh, I did.
I got it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, shout out to Will. We miss you. He's looking for a house. He's doing all this.
Good luck, man.
Yeah. France expected to take key steps towards authorizing medical cannabis nationwide. That's what rescheduling about, baby.
Right.
But yeah, so that's pretty dope on France. Go back to the quotes here. According to our information, the 2 decrees governing the specifications of cannabis-based medicinal products for medicinal use and the safety of their production are in the process of being notified to the European Commission, reported in Newsweek. Oh, well.
Mm. Newsweed, and that's also out of the ICBC, their website,
Yes.
the International Cannabis Business Conference. They always kick off in Germany right around April 29th this year.
I never saw the European market come in being a thing. So, like, the ICBC
It's still
actually.
not really a thing.
Well, but the ICBC conference is a thing of some substance where,
It's like the industry in our country, maybe like even going all the way back, maybe it would be like the first MJ Biz or something,
yeah.
2009. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
No, exactly, though. It's like, because I've seen some footage, and my friend Johnny Green's part of them, and Anthony Johnson's part of the people who helped begin it.
Mhm.
But the creating that coalition is important, right? Like here, hopefully one day we'll get something more than nothing, but because rescheduling is going to be the way. That's the only way I can see.
International changing of laws for reflecting cannabis as a consumable product. I think we need some international reform for cannabis as
Yeah,
a human consumable product. They regulate wine in France. They could regulate weed,
yeah,
but we
100%.
still need federal regulation. Canada's got federal regulation or some type of law in the books, I would imagine, because they have legalized it 6 years ago now, right?
Yeah,
God,
and they're
they beat
still
us by 6 years.
thriving. They're still the zombie apocalypse hasn't happened.
No, no, the robot apocalypse. That one's going to happen first. Who saw that one coming? Yeah. Okay.
I did.
Hey, we
I
have.
did.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We do have a quote, though, or it's not a quote. I guess it's a valuation from international cannabis economist Bo Whitney of Whitney Economics. France is home to the largest total addressable cannabis market in the European Union, with a value of 11.3 billion. So that's what they think that the France cannabis market should be worth. 11.3 billion.
Probably take away from like the people going to Amsterdam to get. Because when I was in France, my nephew is the one that brought us some weed. He brought it from Amsterdam, and he's like, "Yeah, it's hard to find locally, so they allow them to transport over there," which I thought was neat.
Yeah, yeah. I am unfamiliar with the European market, but I'd work there, I guess, if they had to have applications written. My French sucks, so like I'm not gonna really be able to write a French application. And I could tell somebody who's is in France how to write a good application or how to
I just,
win, depending if they do it in the lottery.
I just like being a consumer, man. I just like going to a place where I can go to a store and buy it. It'd be nice. Like that's the vision, right, for legalization. Not trying to find a guy to know a guy that hopefully you get to go hang out in a shady place and hope it's actually something decent,
Mhm.
But got
Yeah.
some. Go ahead.
But it's good. I'm glad that France and the other European states are trying to legalize. Like that would be the EU. The EU would have because it's all one governing bloc now. It's like the United States, which is interesting. That wasn't a thing when we were growing up.
No.
But then couldn't they? They could regulate it. They could say, here's the pesticides, here's the molds, here's what it has to pass to be able to be approved for human use.
I was
Hard.
as I'm getting ready for this trip to Mexico, dude. I just keep thinking how if the cartels and the Mexicans the government can just come to an agreement to like let the regulation happen for infrastructure, the potential for just because Australia exports to Europe, so
Mhm.
there's a huge potential not just for the fun time cannabis, but for hemp, to be this thing that can help remediate the earth and all the fucked up shit we've been doing with. I went
Right.
to the dispensary yesterday and pot shop. We don't have dispensary. We don't have medical things here. But there was when the market first started out here, to get a disposable vape was a rarity. Like there was like one little shelf, one little corner maybe, right? And
Mhm.
I used to get those when I go to Mexico. But recently I was getting one for my kid and for a concert, and there was 3 fucking display shelves full of different brands of disposable vapes, which kind of crushed my heart, man. Like, to me, I can only think of all the battery tech that's in each of these little guys and the metals and stuff that's being wasted, and hopefully they sell, not sit on shelves. But that's consumerism, I guess. Like, regulation is not what I thought it was going to be, but there's still a chance that hemp can help with petroleum. It can help the planet. There's still a
Yeah,
lot of good it can do.
we'll see. Like we give a lot of subsidies to people in the United States. We
Hmm.
aren't giving any hemp subsidies, and there's a lot of science that you would need to do to grow it and then to turn it into products
Yeah,
that could be used. There's just a lot of science, and then there's just not a lot of money in the industry. Everybody just wants to grow it to get high.
exactly. Which is unfortunate, right? Because it does need that subsidy. It needs that investment. Right now everything's on pause. But with that good note, we got some news from Missouri.
Missouri, yeah. A new report from the Missouri State Auditor, Scott Fitzpatrick, criticized the Missouri Department of Revenue for failing to establish a sufficient compliance framework for marijuana tax returns, despite the rapid growth of the state's cannabis market. Now, they had a DOR received good in the broader annual review of sales. Marijuana tax collections highlight serious gaps in oversights and increase the risk of fraud and tax evasion. Would you think that marijuana millionaires in Missouri would try to fraudulently evade taxes? I'm
What?
shocked. They have licenses. It's like
They're
greed
all
doesn't apply if you have a license.
or weed, right? If you're the pot guy, you're bullshit. It's all business now. And I think that's a problem where there's a line where things are business and then what's community. The culture's taking a new shape. The average fuck culture for lack of a better word overall because it's mostly online,
Right.
right? Go ahead.
It's interesting though, like how big is their market? And so during fiscal year 2023, which that may not have captured a whole first year of legal sales. I'd have to go and check what the Missouri fiscal year is to determine that and when it became legal and widely available. But they said $807 million of total taxable cannabis was sold, according
Damn.
to 1,500 marijuana tax returns processed by the Department of Revenue. So 1,500 marijuana tax returns makes me think that there's 1,500 marijuana businesses in the state of Missouri, which that seems a bit high. It's a limited market state. I would have
Yeah.
to add up the number of licenses, but I think it's less than that. And then the 806 million number, that seems low too, because I remember hearing news stories saying that they broke $1 billion or were close to $1.5 billion of the sales. So interesting.
Yeah, yeah. This coming from the quotes. DOR, Department of Revenue personnel, stated the collection fee for marijuana taxes was all set the same 1% used for retail sales and uses tax, but no documentation was maintained to support the decision. That's a little documentation is kind of important. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Do you have any records of this business? Nah. Why not? Yeah, I didn't want to keep records. I kept it in my head. That's how much I spent.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean,
No
that's just
receipts. No.
that's just. I mean, like that's part of like regulation, though. Is like paper. I mean, we are going to be
Right.
the most law-abiding mother.
Well, that's one of the hard. When I'm running my companies that aren't, cannabis companies, you can use credit cards on a lot of things, and it syncs to QuickBooks really, really well. So then it's really easy to itemize all your expenses and keep your records and file your taxes. But
Yeah.
when you're doing like cash transactions, then it gets a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and especially the point of sale systems are all kind of, you know, quirky. You know.
Yep.
We got a little name this stream.
Let's play Name That Strain, and then we'll keep on going. I think Will's in the back.
Yep,
He's
yep.
joined us. Thank you for joining us. Um,
Ooh,
let's play some Name That Strain.
let's get a little.
And maybe he basically became a nug. Yeah. This one, do we have parents on this one? I can say it's best sativa at the 2012 Denver Cannabis Cup without giving away too much.
I mean, it kind of gives away a lot, but it's a vibrating warrant.
True.
It's mild, but doesn't lack nuance, expressing notes of pine and cheese and tartness.
Interesting. Its
dirty.
dominant terpene is limonene, and it also has caryophyllene and myrcene.
What up, Chad? He's all terpene dominant.
No, is it terpinolene dominant? No, it's not terpinolene dominant. It's limonene dominant.
I love that he sees something. It's like the as a grower, I want that experience. I wish I could, but I'm just more of the consumer side of the plant. Nope, it's not a
Well,
haze.
you know, you got to get your medical card and then start cultivating a little bit. We have some. I swear, when I turn on the carbon dioxide machine, I just like they just noticeably look bigger. It could just be the placebo effect because I put carbon dioxide in the tent. I think that they should have like grown more. I don't know.
I just don't have time. I mean, I do like again. I'm just
It's a you're right. It's
yeah.
a bitch. And so like I have to think about what a trip that I'm taking in almost 3 months, like late June. And I'm like, okay, I really have to have them done by then. So I just, it's plenty of time, but the same, you don't want to be gone for a week, you know?
Well, even on a day, dude, my daily commute's an hour and a half in one direction, so that's 3 hours a day. It's not gold haze. What else can I? What can give you a hint? You know, when I first saw this name, I thought of the David Bowie song "Starman." Wait, so it has the word "star" in it. I'll give you that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Star. You can also just Google Best Sativa at the 2012 Denver Cannabis Cup and drop that in the comments. It'll probably work.
If Chris was in the chat, he would definitely have done that.
Oh yeah, some people, but they're all watching they're watching the basketball. That's what they're doing.
Watching the
Hope your
balls.
team didn't lose. Mine did.
Oh no, sports. Yay,
Stardog.
close.
I'm saying that is it. Stardog Guava
Yeah, yeah.
was the full one, but Stardog is close enough.
Let's do the reveal.
Stardog Guava.
Hell yeah, we got some Chicago news.
Chicago news. How many aldermen are in Chicago? And by the way, what is an alderman? An alderman would be known as a city council person or an assembly person. It depends on what your municipality calls their elected officials who like create ordinances, your local laws. But there's 50 of them in the city of Chicago, and 28 of those 50s have signed a letter to the mayor urging the city council to regulate its booming hemp market.
You don't want to know how I know what an alderman is?
Oh,
It's that movie with Chris Rock where he became president.
he was an alderman, huh?
Yeah. And then I was like, what the fuck's an alderman? I had to look that shit up. And I was like, oh, you're like a council dude? But like, I don't know. It just gave me a different vibe. But yeah.
50 members of the city council. They're called alder people.
Neat. But and again, this guy's suppressing a real market. Well, I don't know who he's protecting with being against progress. Right? This is one plant. Go ahead.
There's this thing called pay to play in the city of Chicago or in Illinois, and he wants money. And so people that have these shops, they write checks to alder people or actually elected members of the General Assembly in our Illinois House. They write them checks. I mean, so the best dispensaries in the state of Illinois are not dispensaries. They do not have a license, but they can get away with shit that we can't get away with at our dispensary by a country mile. And so it's just a night and day kind of thing. Now,
Yeah.
if they shut them down, that makes cash for the city, which it needs, because then they could have the extra 3% of the sales tax. However, they figure that if they tax it at the local level, say 10%, and it's worth $800 million, you could make $80 million from the sale of the hemp products that they have.
I think it's unfortunate though, just to. I see what you're saying though. I mean, yeah, you tax a local thing real quick, but again, you're still not providing a safe product, right? Because this hemp illicit market, for lack of better, the hemp gray market, these guys don't have to get any testing done. I mean, the only testing they have to get done is 0.3%. They have to prove. After that, they don't care how you store it. They don't have to. You know, people are getting sick, and it's not like a mass like everybody's getting sick, right? I know some people are like this is their medicine, but there is no joint effort. Like there's no recourse for people who are suffering from this when they do have the bad experience, right? Whereas In a regulated market, you can go to that store and be like, hey, and then it's like, oh shit, other people have been getting sick from our stuff too. We better do a recall. You know, whose base smokes gonna? How are they doing a recall
They
when
don't.
that? You know what I mean?
Hey, like you're telling me I can't trust DonaldTrumpWeed.com that ripped me off, and and so now I might try to do like a DCM takedown of them or something. But I sent them an email telling them I'm not their lawyer. But it's one of those where people just hear what they want to hear, and a lot of people wanted to hear that marijuana was legal because of the 2018 Farm Bill. Yeah, I told them that, but it was satire. It was satire. It
But
was pretty obvious satire when I rewatched the video. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. It was a couple years ago now, but
but
I had good editors back then.
the legal word though, that's the thing. People want to be like, oh, it's fucking legal. No, because you can still lose your job. You can lose your kids. You know, Idaho's about to make a rule banning everything. Like that dude voted against CBD for kids. Like this plant is all one plant with all the cannabinoids, and if we can just get rescheduling done, something federally, that would just take the prohibition sales up from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy right now, the mayor, cock blocking the fucking market. It's setting back Illinois, right? It's like
Well,
you guys won't have a
yeah,
chance to.
yeah, exactly. And so, if it's the same product and there's two different lanes for it, and then that same product is way better when it's not regulated. Like, because you can have deli style flour, you can have edibles, you can have infused weed pizza, infused everything, all types of beverages, and then like all your pre rolls are THCA. Your gummies, you could put a bazillion million milligrams in a gummy. And then there's like literally shops like that in Chicago that are hemp shops. They have no license and they sell millions of dollars of product a year. And so they write checks to legislatures to get them to allow them to keep doing it.
So someone didn't like the fact that the reason why I say Illinois because Will told me you guys say it Illinois. Every region's specific, so I try to be
No,
respectable. I say Pekin versus Peking, right? Like I just in my brain's a
yeah,
little
yeah,
wrapped up, but
it's
like
fine. That's fine.
overall, this is fucking America, and like how I live here, you should be able to live there,
Right.
right? Like isn't that the whole fucking concept of being like better than everybody else, opposed to like I want to go to fucking Canada now. This is just if I could just work out there,
Yeah.
just because of the infrastructure, we are about
Yeah.
to slowly
Yeah. I
be.
tell you, they have better not tax, they have better like healthcare issues. And so for like entrepreneurs, being Canadian would actually take away like a fairly large cost. But our healthcare plan is not going to be all that great because most of our employees, if we just help them with the exchange, would qualify for pretty much free healthcare. You know?
Well, I hope that once the store, we're going to be fucking best community efforts, right? This is
Mhm.
how a business exists well in a place when you're taking care of the community as well. So, just because I live on this side, but I have an opportunity to be a part of thing on the other side,
Mhm.
my fellow countrymen. I don't know what the fuck.
Well, like here's how it's laying down in our land because they're only allowing 3 dispensaries in the city, and so 2 of them are half a mile away from one another, like 3 miles down the road from us, and then there's ours, and then there's no other dispensary for like 8 miles. So basically, we want to get 50% of the total addressable market size that's right there, because we're their local option. That's
Well,
that's the goal. Yeah.
once I'm invested with the once we start being more invested in the area, and I do want to be more invested in Illinois's market as far as like with coal. Like I believe we have an opportunity to help structure because nothing has.
No, do you want to structure the Illinois market? You get a check, and then you write the check
I get
to
that part,
one
man.
of there's like 10 Democrats in our House. That's it. Those
Yeah,
10 Democrats control if something gets passed or not.
sure. But there's still got to be advocacy with it, right? Like to vote them in and out.
No,
Like
no,
like,
you get the checkbook, you write the check to those 10 Democrats.
but that's
It's
everything in
like
general, man. See, I get that part where I think that's kind of like how
like
when you and I
40, fifty
merge.
thousand dollars. Like if we have a profit, let's say we have $1 million profit. I will have at the board meeting. I will make a motion to approve $50,000 of grease to Illinois elected officials. And
Sure.
I will put that in the minutes, grease, and then we'll have to define that. But it's political contributions, or we would buy like, and again, like the guy sends me an email every effing week. You buy $1,000 table at one of their fundraisers.
See, and I get you guys. You guys are both jaded motherfuckers. Like that's the whole thing. Is we're not here just because we know the paycheck fucking is part of fundamentally how America works, right? Like, look who our president is now. Like, that's all that guy's about. Not even like real integrity of knowing a mechanisms of a thing. Matter of fact, he'd rather not pay you. But like, I do. I mean, that's kind of how we know each other, though, man. We're activism and community and all that shit. Like, I did a deep dive with Sarah Frank from Idaho, and gonna get edit and put it up for extra material, but. The early days, like her and I have memories of how recreational, like I have it so good here when it comes to like this plan as a consumer, and an employee for just regular. I don't have to do this fucking podcast. I don't have to do anything. If I were to just shut the fuck up and live my life normally, I would be under the radar and it'd be fine and I could die. But like everybody needs kind of like deserves, just go to the store, go buy some good weed. Go home, be left the fuck alone, like America. Like that's real freedom, opposed to like this hemp debacle is ridiculous. The poison that people are putting themselves into, it's like it's you don't have a choice, and I get it. That sucks, but the market needs to like first off get rid of the merge, I guess, and get rid of the hemp side of things, right? So things can still de-evolve and evolve with the Illinois market, cannabis market,
medical cannabis, and so like CBD is medical cannabis. It is, when you are taking the plant for human consumption for the purposes of its psychoactive or medicinal characteristics, whether that's for pain or PTSD or other psychiatric care,
Well, and then
having
you guys,
those types of rules would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's what this is, and we have this for so many things. Like we have a definition of what number 2 yellow corn is. We have a definition of hemp. It's just not very good. And then we should have a definition of medicinal cannabis pursuant to our Schedule 3 marijuana. Because like all these scheduled drugs are supposed to be FDA approved, and marijuana doesn't fit in that peg at all. And so we should really have a set of rules for what Schedule 3 allows so we can have interstate commerce. Think about what that would do. Interstate commerce, that would just completely level the fields. Because there's a lot of arbitrage in the industry as the illegality creates price discrepancies. So like there's you can have the same pound of weed, but it's sold for ridiculous spreads differently depending on where you have to ship it to.
Yeah. I mean that would be fucking great. That interstate with rescheduling. You guys, Illinois did it different than Washington State, where when you guys created medical first, you actually had a regulated market. Like it blew my mind that you actually have this database and there's stores that are registered. Like we didn't have that. We had a dude that was like, all right, I'm gonna take my buddy's plants who all grow. I'm gonna rent this building over here and put a little green leaf out, a green cross in the front door, and people will show up, which they did. And that was their early days. That was thank God someone did that because it showed it was perfect. But I'm gonna lie.
That is some libertarian shit right there. That's some like no regulation, libertarian. Hey, weed spot. Yeah, it's going to be a green cross. It means weed.
Yeah, man. But like it took that kind of action, which it's unfortunate no one's ever going to see that ever again. Like Oklahoma came the closest to it, but
New Mexico is pretty crazy.
But
New Mexico is basically like, instead of with Oklahoma, it's still medical. There's just no conditions. So everybody can get a medical card. With New Mexico, it's adult use, but everybody can get a license.
That's true. I mean, New Mexico did do it right, and they do have really good weed. But I'm just more talking about like just like you said, a libertarian or capitalism at its pure essence. But the thing is, eventually you do have to have the tax structure. You do have to have the rules for testing structure. These are regulations, right? It's not a and a dude who goes to the counter and buys the weed. They don't care about all the regulations that cost to get there. They just don't want to be able to get pulled, which is crazy to me that you guys still have that issue with cops. Like talking to Cole, when I guess people are still like they have to carry the receipts and prove, and the odor thing's still a debate. There's so
Yep.
much more that needs to be done with the medical side of things, which I would love to help. Get that conversation going, and I get money pays for everything, but I think there's ways to like activate and get attention. I think sometimes you just got to figure it out. I mean, I know there are like the Illinois social equity groups out there already who are doing things, but can't help to get everybody together with one message. You just got to get around one like goal too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's tough. Like we couldn't have everybody, like, because the people that have the money will mess with the system.
yeah,
And so they're already out there. They have the money. They're messing with the system. They're paying off those 10 guys in Springfield that you need to pay off to have a law change or not.
yeah,
And so you can't. Everybody can't come together then, because it's like, but that's my money. And so then they're concerned about that. And so that's why we can't sell medical weed at our shop, because somebody's like, that's my money. So there's only 55 medical dispensaries in the whole state of Illinois.
Well,
That's it.
that's another part about your guys' medical market that blew my mind. So Cole recently, somebody bought purchased some because you guys are allotted. Blow my mind. You're allotted so much every 2 weeks or something as a patient, right? Purchases,
Right.
right? Because the kid with cancer versus the guy with a bad back take the same amount of fucking weed, but that's
I think you unplug yourself. Don't forget you're on mute. Okay, let's go to Maryland. Maryland is a state, by the way, and they have a pretty robust legal market. It is quite limited, and their social equity applicants are starting to get their licenses together and operational. So the social equity regulations are getting in the way of getting open, and so it's made it very, very difficult because you can't change the ownership, and that has caught people not like investing because the ownership restrictions are so tricky, and then the regulators just keep kicking everything back out. It's amazing.
just typical beginnings of a market from every state. That's you know, like again, back to like everybody wants their own money, right? Protecting
Right.
shit. Like how long did it take for New York to roll out?
New York was a dumpster fire, and it's getting better, but it was bad.
Yeah. As I'm saying, like it's just typical BS for like because America. This is just beginning, right?
Yeah. Let's see. The state delayed their social equity by many months, and then the supply chain imbalance. And so there was just what happened was it's similar, very similar playbook to what happened in Illinois. They have the existing medical operators and then this social equity round. And so the social equity round is just providing no competition to the existing operators that were there for medical in the first place. So they're
Oh
like,
wow,
they have market share, they have hegemony now. And eventually they may start getting going, the social equity operators, but I don't know.
that's crazy. Oregon, I think, is the only place that's done it right so far, where people who were doing medical, all they had to do was just flip the sign over, and they were magically recreational. Washington, people lost their asses in transition. So I don't envy anybody that's in the, and the consumer doesn't care about this shit, right? That's why we kind of talk about it. Like, there's hardships about to be going through. People are fight for. Back to the medical though for Illinois. So that I was about to on this crazy rant because your purchase limits. I guess someone told Cole that there was no way for patients to make purchases in various stores, right? So like that's
Mhm.
a kind of the thing where why don't they make that patient the store thing everywhere? Because here in Washington State, it's up to the grower to grow quality for patients, not the store to say they're a patient store. So there's got to be a way to make this work. And apparently the system's already there because some dude bought some weed in another store, used his name and information for points, and it deducted his patient amount, and it wasn't his usual store. So the system's already there where it's all connected. So it's
Oh,
like,
the bill has just not been voted through.
mm,
GTI has, quarterly earnings. They want to beat on earnings, and to do that, they don't want to share those customers.
I get it, but like, I mean, I don't know who to like scream to yet, but I'm just saying the flaw there is so visible. It's like you
Yeah,
already have the ability to have that database. Like there's not
right.
it's not leaping.
But
Yeah.
he got out his checkbook, and then he wrote about 10 to 30 different checks
Shit.
in various amounts to the right people, and then he gets that money next year again. those are like dedicated clients that are coming in only to his shops because there's only those 55 medical dispensaries. No sharing. And then the opposite side is the hemp, because like those are the biggest, best dispensaries aren't dispensaries. They're on every street corner. Like, you can put that green sign that says THC on it with the pot leaf. You can't do that in our shop, but you can do that in the hemp shops.
No shit.
And so like that stuff is just replete all over the city of Chicago. I mean, it's probably 50 cents on the dollar of cannabis is spent outside of a cannabis dispensary in Chicago, I'd say. It's not good, but that's where it's at, and we'll see if it gets changed. It may not.
So
it's different than like with what's going on in Maryland. With Maryland, you have it's fairly similar. You have the existing operators; they're doing great because they're already open, and then you give it to all these social equity applicants, and they never get going because you knew they didn't have the money, and then they won the business through a lottery. So good luck, good luck getting out there. You have 18 months. Go get them. And you can't, like with Illinois, at least we can restructure the ownership of our license after we're operational. With the social equity in very many states, in Maryland's one of them, you can't restructure the equity. And with Maryland, I think it's 65%. Like the social equity applicant has to have 65% complete ownership and control.
Yeah. And again, you guys, Cole even says he goes to Michigan for his weed, trying to defend a hemp market. I don't know who we're protecting here, right? When it's like, and I get it stirred a conversation. Hemp has broken the seal and said, hey, I do like weed. Oh, hey, it does make me feel better. It's better than drinking. But what you have right now in your vape shops is not real cannabis. It's not, who are you protecting? Why are you protecting the guy in the gas station weed versus me, who just wants to quit his day job and help create real change, right? Like, sure, there's already people who invested the big money, guys. They're already here. They're already there. But we can make it better. And I think there's so much opportunity in the state of Illinois. If we can just, but Michigan's the damn competition. That's given.
Right. Well, again, we need to get more supply online. The craft growers need to get open. And so there'll be another 13 given out here shortly. And those guys have money because they've been fighting lawsuits for the past 2 years. And then there's I think there's 20 right now that are open. I got one of my clients that I think will be open in a couple of months. And that's good, because then we can have different products than they have at other dispensaries at our dispensary, more local, craft products. But then it's also going to be, do we establish some type of relationship with those growers to do purchases that are creative to control our costs? And so what if we purchased a particular run of stuff before it's actually shipped? And we talk to the grower directly and be like, our customers want this and this. And then we just put in a huge buy for it. That's and then we'd have a white label or some type of branded product through the grower stuff. So that's what I mean. There's several people we can call to just start doing that.
Sure.
You got to, but we'll just start with regular products that we can get, first. But then over time doing that, it'll be interesting to see what the mix is. But anyway. That has to do with ours, not what's going on in New Jersey. New Jersey kind of undermines the concept that it is safe. New Jersey cannabis fails safety test according to a consumer group, and then that's a much smaller sample size. So weed sold at New Jersey dispensaries from 17 cultivators and manufacturers did not meet safety standards for things such as mold and accurate labeling. Yep.
Yeah, I hope to get some testing equipment to do random testings, because that's how you do quality control, right? You don't let people know you're testing their shit. You just put it through.
Test their shit.
You just test it. You're like, oh, it's fucking IMO. It's unfortunate though. Maybe that's a flaw in the actual producers, or it's a flaw in storage. Who knows here?
Regulation as well. And so it could be a flaw in the regulation, but New Jersey is an open, limited market state. And so it's more open than Illinois. We can apply for a New Jersey license right now Yeah, but then it's like Illinois in the sense that a lot of places were able to opt out. So you have saturation in some areas, and then you have deserts in other areas, which
Mm.
is annoying. It's kind of a little bit like California, but smaller. But then that's one of the reasons why their tests probably have failed, because it wasn't stored properly, or it wasn't tested properly. At
Yeah.
the producer level. Of course, it is also a consumer group. They may also just be trying to like get a headline.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that definitely could be clickbait, but like, hopefully those companies that got called out. Did they even call companies out in the like what was failed? Because
I don't know. It paywalls you after the
yeah,
first 150 words.
because like that's really it's your reputation, man. Like I'm hoping to be so. I just can't wait to actually meet growers and meet producers and be like, hey, can I get a tour? And then,
No,
you
you
guys
can't get a tour.
you can't get tours.
No.
Your rules are so fucked up. I'm done.
Yeah.
Let's quit. How
All
can I
right.
not
I
get a
guess you
tour
could
of the
probably sell
goddamn?
it for $1 million, but
Fuck me.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
bullshit. What kind of bullshit is that?
No, and then we can't give tours either. Like you'd have to badge somebody, and
Wow.
so like if you wanted to get a tour of a grow, you'd have to get badged.
That's some policy we got to change, man. We
Well,
need
like you could like we could have a tour on our grand opening, provided that we're not conducting any business.
I mean, they do tours here all the time in Washington State. It's crazy.
Different rules.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying though, we need better.
Uh,
So I can protect our consumers. I'm here for you, listener, who's gonna buy my weed. I'm here to fucking make sure you know what I'm saying. Just saying, man. Oh, that's just now you just broke my balls. Anyway, we got some news from Ohio.
All right.
Ohio's double cross on marijuana tax money betrays the deal voters approved. So
Yeah.
they're go for it.
There's a video out now for the members about and kind of like this stuff that I did on how legalization can be hijacked by the executive or by in this case the legislature in Ohio. And so even though you've like legalized it, it can roll back. And so this is
Yeah.
an evidence of like the rollback where they thought that they were going to have all this tax money, and now they're trying to literally rewrite the law so that sales tax goes uh, from 10% to 20%, but then that tax isn't distributed how they used to be. They slash the city's share of that tax from 36% down to 20%.
Damn.
So, like, they're changing how the money was going to be shared. And these cities, they vote to approve something. They think it's going to be this way. And then the powers that be, they change the rules.
Well, I think somebody was trying to rescind it too. I mean, Ohio's going through the motions. Any new state, right? You're going to have your prohibitionists. You're going to have your greedy, and then you're going to have your people who are actually involved in the industry who want quality, better rules for you. Here in Washington State, we have the Cannabis Alliance. Shout out. They actually are working on harm rules for the consumer. That's the reason I think why cannabis legalization has been so delayed too, right? Because no one's fighting for the consumer. No one's been like, hey, let's champion for just let's create real laws for the legislation for the constituents. No, it's that's why I've always said like I don't care about big weed. Walmart weed's gonna do all the lobbying for us. Walmart weed wants to like they don't want to go to jail. So like True Leaf, man. Shout out to Kim Rivers dropped in what $1 million or whatever. I mean, it wasn't a good investment for home grows, but like you are in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a very corporate bill. And so I thought that the Florida legalization, it was just so over the top. I mean, Florida's such a millionaires club to begin with. And then that just wouldn't have allowed even small mom and pop, like, it still is an expensive thing to open a dispensary. And then with
Yeah.
Florida, like Florida's like branded stores. It's like every store in Florida is like its own Apple store. You can only sell your own products. So
What?
that's really messed up. Yeah,
Yeah.
like can you have all the SDQ, the SKUs, all the SKUs that our company makes. That's the only thing we're allowed to sell.
I mean, it's
So
kind of
that's just
neat.
strange.
It's like personal craft grow type
I
shit.
mean, it's
Where
True Leaf then, and so like it's not. I mean, you're allowed as
yeah,
many dispensaries as you can have, as you can support. And so like you're allowed as much crop size, as much canopy space as you can support. And you have to be completely vertically integrated. And so like it's tens and tens of millions of dollars to be able to get into the Florida medical, or yeah, currently it's still just medical, Florida's cannabis market on the medical side. And then if they just, codified that for the adult use, you have no small middle market entrepreneurs of $2 to $50 million. You'd have to have more than $50 million to get in.
That's crazy, dude. That's why there's no culture then too. Because like, you get no people, no chances for growing and understanding the plant. That sucks. Damn. Hey.
Yep.
Nice. We got some.
You mailing people seeds again?
Not yet. I got. I divvied them up the other day though. So now I got like 50 emails, dude. 20 of them were like from one crazy person. But
that's how it works.
It's all good though. But yeah, I'm gonna start replying soon and divvying things out though. It only takes a stamp and some time, so it's cool. And plus, people want to grow.
Nice.
But yeah, Nebraska Attorney General sends cease and desist letters to 104 Omaha shops selling THC products. Again,
they've figured it out. Like there's tons of dispensaries all over Nebraska because it's all hemp stores, and so just what's going on in Texas is going on in Nebraska.
And this is something we've been saying though, man. Like people jumping the gun thinking like, oh, Farm Bill compliant. What the fuck does that mean, dude?
Right.
What does that mean?
Right.
what legal
state keeps? Yeah, because the FDA keeps saying don't put this in food, and you just keep ignoring the letters.
But even like medical per state is not even a law. It's affirmative defense, right? Because if you were doing something federally, that you're fucked no matter what. Mm-hmm. It's just like I was mens rea bullshit. I'm following state law, but like not federal. But the hemp debacle though has just muddied the waters where people think I can do this now, but yet cars are getting stopped, right? Transporting products.
Illinois is just silly. Like there's so many contradictions in our policy. Like the same plant regulated 2 different ways, 3 different ways if you include the medical side. Mm-hmm. And then you still have like no protections from work. That's going to be the next one, is about how you have no protections from work. I've already kind of done a video like that, but it was a couple years ago now, so I might as well do another one, especially for drivers, because like I get no shortage of people whose job has to do with driving, where they get let go, and then they're so pissed, and I'm like, yeah, it's federal regulations. There's just no way you're going to win that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's the worst part about this plant, like the law around it, right? Because most of the time, whatever argument, you got no rights. You have no rules. You have no. Scheduling would be it. Reschedule. That's your protection. Mm-hmm. That's your.
Yeah, medical cannabis now, because then you can have a supremacy clause aspect of it, where if you're popped in Indiana or Idaho, you can go like, no. I realize that Idaho doesn't recognize this as medicine, but the United States government recognizes it as medicine.
Yeah. I mean that's how that works. Got some Wyoming news.
Okay.
Wyoming pays $150,000 to settle a lawsuit over botched prosecution of hemp farmers. So apparently, Wyoming this month paid to settle a lawsuit brought by a hemp farmer whose crop was seized by law enforcement agents based on erroneous allegations she grew and trafficked marijuana. Court filings. Neat. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
this goes back though. Like this was, I think, a 2019 prosecution of them.
Yeah.
And so it took some years to play out. But 2019 was really like the first year that they farmed, and I could see people in in Wyoming not understanding that was hemp, because it was like the first year after the Farm Bill. And hemp looks just like weed because it literally is the exact same plant. And so it's one of those where it's like, yeah, it makes sense that they got popped. And then it was probably just because back in the day, like they weren't growing THCA flower. That was like 2023. It took years before they went and crossed that bridge. In 2019, they were all growing as compliant Delta-free CBD high plants that they had, like Trump #1 and the Wife and Lifter and ACDC and all those strains that nobody grows anymore because they just grow weed and call it hemp.
Yeah. No, it's 100%. Hey, it's 420 somewhere.
Oh, it is? Well, we can wrap our show with that. I think that was our last one. They had confiscated 700 pounds of it, and they ultimately revealed it at a THC level in line with hemp production. Law enforcement confusion in Wyoming.
I had two things to throw at you real quick, but you want to take a smoke break real quick?
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, don't forget to get our newsletter. You can do so by signing up right there. There's a QR code. Every week, we send out the Cannabis Legalization newsletter to our subscribers. There's about 17,000 of them, and you could be one. And then, of course, we also send other emails out when the company's doing something or when we have new videos that have dropped.
I
QR code.
appreciate get that QR code. I appreciate Tom Patterson's comment here on Miggies. I should call them little joints.
Right.
But hey, Jason Beck from High at Nine, he sent me this article, and I just got this. The cannabis conversation is really weird, right? So this is coming from them, written by Dale Schaefer, who's a lawyer, but they're kind of throwing shade on this guy from Prisoner for Pot. You know, I think he's part of the board or something, but suspicion is that he's a rat. That he's a snitch,
Mhm.
right? Not a thing that you want in the cannabis world, right? But we're also in a place where there is an ex-cop that runs one of the bigger California businesses, right? Like, you know, who are we to like? I mean, it just doesn't work that way. You don't fucking get to say, this guy, he's making amends. I guess, right? He's helping prisoners. Like, there's really good things coming from the LP, even though I've heard some shady shit, but they do make noise. Like, the more people you need on your team to like share a message. Then on top of that, that second thing I was gonna tell you, because it's kind of on the same snitchy type thing. Coming from the blacklist, Adam 22. Are you familiar with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, he might be a part of some federal raids too, right? Like, the circles. So he's a podcaster, one of these hip hop podcasters, and I just think it's funny perception of like the world. Where like, you're familiar with the rapper Rick Ross, right?
Who isn't?
Right? Well, but people aren't familiar with he stole the name from an actual like, drug dealer, like a guy that was living the life, right? So it's just weird how like this guy who stole the name of an actual thug went on to become like this hip hop, money bag type celebrity, but yet he's not like coming from that thug life of the person he stole, versus like this guy No Jumper who's got a huge hip hop podcast, and it's like, dude, were you fucking like what would you say, like a spy, right? Like were you been a fed this whole time, So it's like I don't know, man. I just weird world we live in, fucked up timeline. I just thought like throw this like weird fucking information that no one cares about, right? Like LLP, Life Prisoner Pot. It's cool that they just share information. They have cool graphics. That's more than I do. All I do is share their fucking images sometimes to get someone's message out. But
yeah, and then it's hard to get messages out when you're talking about weed.
Yeah,
it really is. If we were just talking about business, we'd probably get more subscribers because we'd just be talking about business. But that'll be something that'll do later when I do another company. First, I have to get the dispensary going.
If we're talking about beer, we'd fucking already be have sponsors, and I'd be quitting my job already.
Oh yeah. Well, one day, if I was hopeful that after 6 years of doing this show, we'd have federally legalized it, and then maybe you could get a sponsor. But we'll have our own sponsorship. We'll just have to sell weed, and then we'll upgrade the systems. It'll look nicer.
I mean, that's it. We're about to sell weed, man. I can't wait. And thanks for hanging out.
Those are our news stories for the week that was. Cannabis legalization news for March 23rd, 2025. If we really appreciate everybody who hangs out, and especially the members of the channel. They get the videos first. That video that I did will be published here on Tuesday. It's fascinating crap, and then I'll do another one probably about why your CDL is not coming back, or if you guys have any ideas that you want to see in future videos, throw them our way in the comments, especially. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm gonna do a deep dive with Idaho here be coming out here eventually. So
Okay. Yeah,
oh,
and then we'll get Matt. We got to get back to Matt because like you're going to be gone. We might not do an episode next week.
I
We'll
don't
see how much
mind
news comes in.
talking shit from Mexico in the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah, maybe you'll be in Mexico.
It'll
That'll
be a
be
hard
the
life.
international cannabis legalization news.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're out of here. See you guys.
All right.